What a great place for some women's basketball as we welcome you inside Purcell Pavillion. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking on the 9th-ranked NC State Wolfpack this afternoon. Now NC State no longer unbeaten after the Wolfpack suffered their first loss of the season at North Carolina on Thursday. Notre Dame in a very unfamiliar position down toward the bottom of the ACC standings with a 1-3 mark in conference play. Jen Hildreth, LaChina Robinson, glad to have you along for the ride as well. And LaChina, while there have been plenty of questions surrounding this Notre Dame team and their struggles this season, I think the main one today concerns NC State and how this team will bounce back after that loss.
Yeah, NC State was undefeated coming into that game where they lost a rivalry, Tobacco Road against North Carolina. But today they come into a tough environment to get a win on the road once again. So Wes Moore's group's going to need some leadership.
Well, you'd think certainly a young player who can play a huge role is the 6'5" sophomore, Elisa Canane.
If I had to vote today for ACC Player of the Year, it would go to Elisa Canane. She can play off of the bounce. She's extremely mobile. She can finish at the rim. She brings defense for the Wolfpack. She can dominate the paint. She can take contact on the score, and she is only a sophomore, Jen. How exciting has she been to watch? But the challenge today is she is coming off of arguably her worst game of the season, and you credit Courtney Banghart and Janelle Bailey in particular for how they defended Canane. But these numbers against Carolina, not what we're used to seeing. She will need to be effective against the Irish today.
On the other side for Notre Dame, after the Irish's loss to Clemson, Muffin McGraw said, "We don't have a go-to player." Well, since then, I think Destiny Walker would beg to differ.
She has really stepped up, and Notre Dame needed someone to aggressively take the reins of this offense. What I like about Walker is she can play off of the bounce. She's great in transition. When she's on from three, she's really dangerous, but she also brings some defense as well.
Irish have lost 3 of their last 4 games, trying to get things turned back around on their home floor this afternoon. Mickey Vaughn and Canane in the center circle for the tip. Ace Koenig, recently inducted into the 1,000-point club in her career at NC State with the ball in her hands. Crutchfield goes inside to Canane, back out to Koenig. A little short on that first 3.
Notre Dame starting out in the zone defense they've been playing a majority of this season. Now the challenge will be that NC State can be an effective three-point shooting team. So will that zone be a factor defensively for Notre Dame today? We'll see.
Walker. Sam Brunell had to do a little bit of a juggling act to keep that in play and keep it in her team's possession. She did well. Marta Sneezik ready to get the pass back to Brunell off the inbound. Caitlin Gilbert couldn't hang on to it, but it will stay with the Irish.
Good to see Canane out here and starting. She did not do a lot in shoot around today. Wes Moore was telling us she was actually under the weather during that North Carolina loss. So we'll keep an eye on her energy level today, but she looks good to start.
Canane, the reigning ACC Player of the Week after 2 strong performances against Virginia and Virginia Tech. And there is a triple from Brunell to start things off. She was struggling from 3, LaChina, until the last couple of games started to find her stroke again.
And with Mickey Vaughn returning to this Notre Dame lineup, she gives them some offense from the middle of the floor with her passing ability.
Jump ball, we'll give it back to the Irish.
This is great offense here for Notre Dame. Mickey Vaughn makes good decisions from the high post, and Sneezik was a bit of a distraction defensively on the cut, which allowed Brunell a chance to get that shot off.
Vaughn just getting back into the swing of things. It's her 6th game of the season as Gilbert takes the shot and has 2.
And while we talked about the three-point shooting of NC State and how that may impact Notre Dame's zone, the zone will help them to guard Canane, having bodies around her at all times. And I think the most dangerous perimeter threat for NC State, though they have depth, is Aislinn Koenig.
She is coming off 24 points in that loss at North Carolina on Thursday. Quickly gets it inside, and that is 2 for Kayla Jones. Kayla Jones, a junior, playing a much bigger role for the Wolfpack this season. First year as a starter, she started every game. Purnell off the fingertips of Vaughn, turns it over.
But you see what Notre Dame is trying to do. We're playing some two-man game from the elbow with Vaughn and Brunel.
Kai Crutchfield pulls it back, calls her own number, and it's good. Pretty fast pace here as Walker, a bit out of control, driving to the basket. Good fingertips in the passing lane by Gilbert. She lays it in with her left hand. Notre Dame back out in front.
And that's one thing that Notre Dame has done very consistently and pretty successfully, is turn teams over this season. The question is, can they make them pay offensively on the other end? And beautiful passing and ball movement there for NC State.
Kanay now joins the scoring for the Wolfpack. All but one starter, Jakia Brown-Turner, have scored so far for NC State. Walker, long 2.
And that was all set up by a screen by Mickey Vaughn. Watch Vaughn off of the ball. She won't always touch it on that end of the floor, but she's always setting screens, cutting, doing something to get her teammates open.
Vaughn, so vitally important to stay on the floor for this Notre Dame team as Crutchfield hits. We're getting some baskets today to start things off with China.
And Crutchfield had struggled from the field in her last few games. Only 8 points last 2, 7 of 26 in her last 3 games. So good to see the ball go in for her.
Kanane rips down the rebound. One of the top rebounders in the ACC. She averages 10.6 a game. And as a team, in fact, the Wolfpack very good on the boards. Number 1 in rebound margin in the conference. Just about everybody touching the ball that possession for NC State. Kanane just stayed high, took it away, and then is fouled on the putback.
And that's what 6'5" will do for you in a game like this. Mickey Vaughn is only 6'3", and she can't afford to get in foul trouble, but this is a lot to have to deal with when Kanane gets those long arms up and is aggressive in getting to the basketball. She has a knack for it, just knows how to go up and get it. Rebounding-wise, her numbers tell the story. Number 2 in the league with 11 corrals per game.
Very reliable free throw shooter as well. Kanane had an NC State freshman record 136 free throws made a season ago. Hits at about a 75% clip from the line this season. Danielle Cosgrove into the game for Notre Dame as Vaughn went out. Kanea Peoples also onto the floor. Walker used the screen, came up short. 3 seconds on the clock when we come back. What a wild week it has been across the country in women's basketball. UConn unbeaten and number 1, most likely no more. Not after they lost to Baylor. Number 2, they went down as well. Oregon losing to Arizona State. We told you about NC State dropping from the ranks of the unbeaten. 2nd straight season, by the way. North Carolina did that to their in-state rivals. And then Georgia Tech upsetting 11th ranked Florida State. Makes it kind of fun, doesn't it, LaShawn?
It has been a fun season so far. 14 top 10 teams have lost this season. 30 ranked teams have lost to unranked teams. And the 3 losses by AP number 1 matches the most through January 9th since 2012-2013. So we are seeing a lot of shakeups at the top, which means there's a lot of parity. I mean, when you think about crowning a national champion, air ball there by Gilbert. But when you think about crowning a national champion in April, who knows right now who that's going to be? Coming into the season, I would have said, wow, Oregon is probably going to run the table. Not so much. In fact, the Ducks now have 2 losses as they went down to Arizona State this past weekend.
There are some of those numbers you were talking about, and this is just from this past week. The ranked teams going down to some of the unranked. Good offensive rebound grabbed by Kayla Jones, a 6'1" junior out of Jamesville, North Carolina. Brunell picking up her first personal.
And that's always going to be a concern when you're playing zone if you're Muffin-McGraw. Can we rebound out of it? And in particular, when you're playing such a dominant rebounding team like NC State.
That was certainly one of the glaring issues in Notre Dame's last game, a loss here at home against Boston College on Thursday. The Eagles really worked the glass to their advantage in that one. And Notre Dame currently last in the ACC, giving up over 7 more rebounds to their opponents than what they are able to grab.
And NC State in their man-to-man defense, a lot of cutting, pass and cut action, motion right now from Notre Dame's offense.
Gilbert had a couple of layups on steals, gets that one the hard way. She has 8. Sophomore led this Notre Dame team in scoring earlier in the season, now averages 13.8 per game. Nice 3 from the corner. That was Brown Turner, the freshman out of Oxon Hill, Maryland.
And that's the three-point shot that you will get most often against that Notre Dame zone. But it's one of the toughest threes to make from the corner. The freshman knocks it down like it's nothing.
She's been impressive starting every game for the Wolfpack here in her first year with the program, and has even upped her numbers in ACC play.
The freshmen in the ACC are tough. This is going to be a difficult year picking freshman of the year. And Naya Peoples also on the floor. Brunell's a great freshman, but Brown Turner for NC State has been outstanding.
Yeah, some good candidates, as you just mentioned, in this game. Crutchfield had that shot blocked. There is a foul on the play.
This is just really good ball movement by NC State against the zone. The high post there by Kanane with the catch, and then Brown Turner just lines it up. But it was a very unselfish extra pass from Koenig. She could have put that shot up, but deferred to the freshman. And that's one thing I love about this NC State team, is how unselfish they are. Kanane's a great passer from the post, despite being dominant in a low block. Everyone shares the ball.
Peoples took that one away. Walker. Four steals already in this game for the Irish. Kanane came flying in, got a hand to the ball, but couldn't take it away. Peoples comes off the bench, gives a great spark to this Notre Dame team. Tried to give it to Sneezik, who has not scored her last 2 games. Brown Turner, McDonald's All-American, was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Maryland a year ago. Kanane, so tough in the paint.
And that was just a good flash up. I mean, Boyd is down there moving and trying to create some space for Kanane, but she just showed numbers, and when she's that big in the middle of the paint, hard to stop that positioning.
Brunell just picked up her 2nd personal on the play as well, and not a ton of depth for Muffet-McGraw to rely upon on that bench. As Brunell does go to the bench, and Vaughn back in onto the floor along with Gilbert. Thursday night, these 2 teams will be part of a Tobacco Road doubleheader on the ACC network. It starts at 6 Eastern with the 9th-ranked Wolfpack hosting 11th-ranked Florida State. We'll be there for that one. Followed up by Notre Dame at King Cameron Indoor Stadium taking on Duke. Both games right here on the ACC Network as well as the ESPN app.
Yeah, a couple of really big and important matchups. Florida State, NC State. Jen, you and I will be on the call for that one, but when you look at where the rankings have been in the ACC for most of the season, those are two teams that have been amongst the top. Now, there's been a lot of shaking up since then, but Sue Samarau trying to get her team back on the winning track, and that's going to be a tough out at NC State.
That's Jada Boyd, 6'2" freshman, who Westmore told us in shoot-around today, LaChina, he needs to get her on the floor more.
Yeah, he wants to get her more minutes, and he said that's for March. She's the kind of player that I could see us needing more and more as this season goes on. And this seems a little deceiving in NC State in terms of their depth, because as Wes told us today, they still have players working their way back from significant injuries from last season. They had 4 ACLs last year.
2 on the shot clock. Sneezik tries to swing it one more time to Gilbert. She did beat the clock. Peoples, the offensive rebound. And just too much Wolfpack to get through. NC State on a 6-0 run. That defense, can it turn to offense on this possession for the Irish? Vaughn set the screen. Gilbert says, thank you very much. She has 10.
Silky smooth is Gilbert. I love her game. Always cool, calm, and collect. Very under control, but can be explosive.
Koenig. Wolfpack looking to finish the first quarter with a bang, but instead, Vaughn tried to have the last say. Tough drive by Jones, and that will do it for quarter number 1. NC State leads Notre Dame 22-15. NC State coming off back-to-back Sweet 16 appearances. Started the season ranked number 14 in the preseason poll, up to 9 where they sit now. They were unbeaten, tied for the second best start in school history, 14-0 before Thursday night's loss to North Carolina, adding a little extra salt to that rivalry wound. Second year in a row, the Tar Heels handing the Wolfpack their first loss. But you said it, Elisa Canane right now, LaChina, you're front runner for ACC Player of the Year the way she's been playing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to pay attention to her. And though Janelle Bailey was able to defend her one-on-one all night in that loss to Carolina, that is rare. There is usually a double team commanded and a lot of attention. Turnover there by NC State, but when you look at the ACC, the most dominant players aren't necessarily low block posts, and I just love a good low block post player that is as skilled as Elisa Canane is, and she's been consistent and tough.
And you look at this Notre Dame roster and you wonder how they contend with a physical post player the likes of Canane. 6 points so far for the reigning ACC Player of the Week. 1 on the shot clock. Sneezik still didn't want to shoot it. Tried to get one more pass, ran out of time.
And that had a lot to do with Canane. She was talking the entire time through that possession. I'm not sure what Muffet said there, but Jen, you may have heard her.
Shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. That's what she was telling her point guard. Sorry, that's why I was laughing.
And then she told the official to go over and tell her to shoot the ball. No, I don't know. That's what she said to the official.
Canane away from the basket. She can make it from there, too.
One thing that Wes Moore said he wanted his team to do a better job of is attacking. He said against North Carolina, we settled for too many jump shots, and that was a good attack offensive move. And speaking of attack, Peoples is always aggressive on the court.
Peoples leads all ACC freshmen in rebounding, field goal percentage, steals. She is second in scoring. Second, by the way, only to her teammate Sam Brunell on cue. She gets a steal. And Jakia Brown-Turner committing a foul after the fact.
And Peoples is listed as 5'10", but she just looks so much taller than that, plays so much bigger on the glass. I mean, to be 5'10", averaging 8.4 rebounds a game, that's outstanding from the guard position.
Strong drive, but a walk on the way there will turn it back over to NC State. Yeah, she's an impressive freshman. Her dad was her high school coach growing up in Danville, Illinois. A good basketball pedigree to go along with her physical skills. Kayla Ely back out on the floor. One of those players you mentioned who's still coming back to get back to where she was out all of last season with an ACL injury in the preseason. Canaan double dribble.
And there we see a double team. Notre Dame intentional about getting two players quickly to Canaan, forcing her to try to pass the ball. But she turned it over here, and that was a problem against UNC, is that Canaan just was not quick and swift and decisive against that Tar Heel defense.
Maybe a little unlucky there. You could see the replay. It bounced off of Sneezik's knee. Nonetheless, here come the Wolfpack, and Jones has two more. Marta Sneezik has been excellent in setting her teammates up this season. Second in the ACC in assists per game. Gilbert, a little too soft off the front of the rim, but the Wolfpack players all going for the basketball. They batted out of bounds, so it'll stay with Notre Dame.
Do you see how Notre Dame sent no one to the glass? They were already getting back because of the way NC State has been able to get out and run from defense to offense.
Gilbert off the inbounds is good.
He has got that mid-range game cooking.
Caitlin Gilbert was in double digits the first 13 games of this season. Went a little quiet in conference play, just 8 points at Pittsburgh, 6 at Syracuse. But starting to find that rhythm again, 11 points on Thursday and already 12 this afternoon.
Well, people look at her classification in that she's a sophomore, but she only played in 7 games last year due to a separated right shoulder, so doesn't have a lot of experience on the floor, but she has been a part of this program from last year where there was a winning culture and a lot of success. And great job, once again, of picking up the charge call. Who else but Marta Sneezik?
Unofficially, because the NCAA does not keep this stat, but she has got to be amongst the leaders, at least in the conference, if not across the country. That is the 20th charge taken this season by Sneezik. You just know it's coming. She is excellent at getting herself in the right position and drawing that foul. Walker.
Boy, we talked about how well Walker had been playing on the offensive end coming into today, but she is not shooting well to start this game.
Good passing on the interior for NC State.
Ely able to get a piece of the paint, and once you get to the middle of the floor and you're as quick and a good decision maker as Ely is, it's going to be hard to recover. And that was the easy one for NC State.
Peoples looking for some action.
Watching there by Notre Dame. Took them too long to get into their offense.
Sneezik up and over Jones as she tried to snag that ball away. Was a foul called on Jones, her second personal.
And you see Muffet McGraw really intentional about making sure her team knows what they're doing on the offensive end. She said that's been one major change going from last year's team that was so experienced and they lost so much of their scoring and production to this year's, that she's having to talk more, work on her patience with this group, teach, be a voice. Much more guidance from Coach Muffet McGraw this year than last season.
And not only last season, LaChina, you just think about the run that Notre Dame has been on under Muffet McGraw and the success that they have had, especially since joining the ACC. First 96 ACC regular season games, they had 5 losses. They have 3 in their last 4 this season. You can see they've struggled at home. this season. That's not something these fans who still pack Purcell Pavillion are used to seeing. You have to go back to 1991-92 to find this many losses through the first 16 games.
Notre Dame having to do a lot of rebuilding. They've got youth on this team. They've got players that are new to the program, like Walker and Sneezik coming in as grad transfers. So the turnover is real. I think with Vaughn back in the lineup, it's now 94% of their offense that they lost from last season.
All?
So they may have gotten 2 back with Vaughn, 2% back with Vaughn now available on the roster.
Nikki Vaughn had a sprained right knee in the season opener and was out. This now just her 6th game back. Peoples at the free throw line where she has struggled. She's gotten there a lot, more than any other Notre Dame player this season, but is just about 50%. Didn't look good there.
And that's a part of her game that she will need to work on because she's very physical. She's going to take a lot of contact. She'll get to the free throw line. You got to be able to make the opponent pay for that.
Unable to cut into this lead, which at 11, now 13, is the largest of the game for the Wolfpack.
And you can see why Wes Moore wants to get Jada Boyd more minutes.
Notre Dame will be on the free throw line, trying to pick up a couple points when we return.
Welcome back to South Bend, where NC State is up 32-19 on the Fighting Irish. And I've been impressed so far with NC State's passing against the trap, making the extra pass on a fast break, sharing the ball right here against the zone, finding the corner man for 3. Wes Moore's group shares, but they've also been attacking the kick out here for the pick and pop by Kunane. And this has just been a beautiful offensive display by NC State, shooting in the upwards of 68%.
It's not so bad.
No, not too bad at all.
Meanwhile, it's been Caitlin Gilbert doing the bulk of the damage for Notre Dame as they have really struggled to find their points from anybody else.
7 assists on 13 made field goals for the Wolfpack, and Peoples shut down on that offensive try.
Gilbert off the steal. This has been one of the best weapons for Notre Dame in this game, using their defense to get some offense.
That's what they've got to do more of. Notre Dame has to make NC State uncomfortable. They're not doing that right now. They're allowing State basically whatever shot they want in the open court, in the half court. Another turnover by the Wolfpack. So maybe this is a chance for the Fighting Irish to get some momentum.
12th turnover of the game there by NC State, a team that typically does a better job taking care of the basketball. Brunell, short on her 3-point try. Boyd unafraid, but a contested 3 as Gilbert got into her line of sight. This NC State team, LaChina, exciting for us. My first chance seeing them in person, and this is one of those teams that you look at as picked preseason 2nd in the ACC. They're top 10 in the country right now. I mean, this is a team that has the potential to do a lot this year.
And when you talk to people around this league, there is a great respect for what Wes Moore does. I mean, their playing style doesn't change. You know, they have a 4-out, 1-in system this season. I think they're better than last year because they've had some key players improve in their 3-point shooting, especially from the power forward spot. They're going to be a great rebounding team. They go under screens. They don't give you middle of the floor looks. I mean, it's a system. And if they were healthy, he's really scary, but they're getting there. And if they can get Ely and Hunter and Cassell back at least close to 100% before this season's over, that's going to be trouble.
No Kunane on the floor at the moment for NC State. Koenig, always ready to shoot, ranked second all-time in three-pointers made in NC State history. And I believe Notre Dame, Vaughn there was on the end line, so it'll stay with NC State under the basket. Joe Vasily, Rod Creech, Fatou Sissoko Stevens are officiating crew this afternoon. Koenig. "14 points in the game for Gilbert. Vaughn working desperately to try to get open inside, having a hard time of it, being defended by Erica Cassell.
Notre Dame's got to get back to some of their people movement and ball movement, and you have to credit NC State because they are denying, as you just mentioned, not allowing them to get into their offense. And we'll keep our eyes on this as Anea Peoples is getting tended to there on the bench. Looks like somewhere in that right shoulder area.
Yeah, where's that brace? And is clearly in some discomfort. Drive along the baseline is good for Crutchfield.
Got to get there. Quick off the bounce is Crutchfield, but Notre Dame was on their way to help on the back line, just didn't get there in time.
On the way, not good enough.
Almost doesn't count. Is that what that's
right.
What they say?
Under 10 on the shot clock for Notre Dame. The Irish just one of their last 7 field goal attempts. Sneezik had a block. The jump ball will be the call on the floor.
And the way that NC State defends, and Peoples is going to go off of the floor right now. I'm hoping that she is okay. As Jen mentioned today, she is, as a freshman, a big part of what they do here in this team. Leads the team in both rebounds and field goal percentage as a freshman.
See if we can go back and see what might have caused this pain underneath the basket.
Yeah, it looked like she just reached back for the basketball, and then see she's in a lot of pain there. We'll try to get an update on that.
I remember at shoot-around today when she came in, she didn't have her brace initially, so the staff very careful with what they would allow her to do without that brace on. Canane just couldn't hang on to it that time. Danielle Cosgrove held her ground.
Good screen there by Cosgrove. Walker's got to shoot that.
Boyd, aggressive, going for the basketball, and then went ahead and took it herself all the way on the other end.
Yeah, right here. Good screen by Cosgrove, which gives Walker some space to get the shot off. And I know she isn't shooting too well, but she's got to get shots up because she is a big part of what this team can do on offense and has been in recent games. So you get any open look against that NC State defense, you got to have the confidence just to knock it down. Your next shot is your best shot.
Yeah, Walker averaging almost 21 points per game over the last 3. Just 2 points, though, today for Walker. Sneezik drives to the basket. She is fouled.
She's holding her right on.
So Sneezik will get a chance to snap her 2-game scoreless streak from the free throw line. Two-time Washington, D.C. Gatorade Player out of the Year out of McLean, Virginia High School. Tonight, the ACC Network grants you an all-access pass into the Miami women's basketball program. You get never-before-seen footage and sounds from head coach Katie Meyer, her staff, and the players. That's all access with Miami women's basketball premiering tonight, 8 Eastern on ACC Network, as well has the ESPN app. And if you have not caught those all-access shows yet, be sure to tune in. There was one done on Notre Dame earlier this season. We'll show you some of that at halftime. And it's a great way to get to know these teams and players and see some of that behind the scenes on and off the court that everybody loves so much.
Good basket there on the offensive glass by Canane. But you're right, Jen. That's been one of my favorite parts of the ACC network is those all-access pieces, because it is the real deal of what these teams are experiencing coming into the season, during the season. It's great stuff.
Koenig drains the three. That's her first triple of the game.
Great passing and court awareness by NC State on the offensive end. They did have some turnovers, Jen, but when they weren't turning over, they were passing and sharing and shooting the ball well.
Time almost out for Notre Dame. Cosgrove too strong. And NC State will take a 14-point lead into the break. They have gotten contributions from everybody with a double-digit lead in this one. Well, welcome back to Notre Dame. We are at halftime between the Fighting Irish and the 9th-ranked NC State Wolfpack. All season long, ACC Network is giving you great access to your favorite teams. So now, let's go all access with Notre Dame women's basketball. I love those all access pieces. You get to see the personalities of the players and the coaches. There's another one coming up, ACC Network tonight, all access with Miami women's basketball premieres at 8 Eastern. From Notre Dame, we'll have more from the half when we return. Welcome back to Purcell Pavillion. NC State leading Notre Dame by 14 at the half. Second half not too far away. And I think, LaChina, if we were wondering how NC State would respond after that first loss of the season, they looked pretty good in the first half.
Yeah, they've bounced back well so far. South Bend is not an easy place to play in front of this Notre Dame crowd. But what we've seen is a lot of intention by NC State on the offensive end to share the ball, to have more balance, to spread it out. 9 assists on 16 made field goals for Westmore's team. And again, it's just their unselfishness. And with Canane in the middle, they can spread the floor from the outside against that zone and make the extra pass. And look at the patience and the vision here by the Wolfpack, seeing the entire floor offensively. And the bright spot for Notre Dame has been Caitlin Gilbert. Her use of the screen on the ball, she's just aggressive. She needed a game like this, and she has struggled from the field in terms of her efficiency in the last few games for Notre Dame. But just look how she gets going downhill, getting to the rim, and everyone else needs to join the party at this point for Muffin McGraw's group. Sam Burnell had 2 fouls in the first half, so we'll see what she can do. Destiny Walker was slow, but Notre Dame just need more contributions across the board.
Yeah, even Mickey Vaughn, no field goal attempts in that first half for Notre Dame. The rest of the team contributing just 10 points, so Gilbert needs some help. It has been Jones and Canane. Very efficient first half leading NC State, and the Wolfpack still shooting over 60% from the floor, though they have turned it over probably more than they would like.
And that's one thing that Notre Dame could do a better job of taking advantage of, is if you force an NC State team that averages 14 turnovers a game to 13 in the first half, you got to make them pay on the other end. And unfortunately, the Fighting Irish only shot 27% from the field in the second quarter.
And we're able to just get 10 points off of those turnovers, to your point. Now, getting a good look right there at Anea Peoples, just getting word she will not return in this game. We saw her holding her right shoulder, where she typically does have that brace on it. No brace now, so that is one weapon that the Irish are going to have to do without for the rest of this one.
And already shorted numbers. That's a huge hit for Notre Dame. And what they need to do in the absence of Peoples, everyone's going to have to rebound more. That is the team's leading rebounder. But also she brings a high level of toughness. So everyone else has got to step up their physicality. Peoples had already been to the free throw line. That's what she brings to this team as only a freshman. So everyone will have to do a little bit more here in the third quarter and the rest of the second half.
Kai Crutchfield whistled for the foul away from the ball as Mickey Vaughn went down to the floor. The Irish unable to get any points out of that possession. It really is fun to watch this NC State offense work when you see how many different players can touch the ball, the way they swing it, the vision, the movement. And that is foul number 3, picked up very quickly by Sam Brunell. You said just 3 points to China for Brunell. She averages 13.4, leads all ACC freshmen in scoring. And now with her freshman Peoples out of this game, she's gonna have to find a way to stay on the floor.
It is tough when you are filling it on the interior as she is. The one thing about this Notre Dame lineup and this roster is they don't have a ton of size. And so everyone has to get involved when there's a player that's 6'5" like Kanane on the floor. And unfortunately, that's what can happen is some foul trouble.
Walker still trying to find her shooting touch. Kanane can shoot that 3, got a friendly roll. That's not supposed to happen on the visitors' floor, but it does for the 6'5" sophomore. And NC State off to a good start in quarter number 3. Hey, she can play in the paint, but Kanane could knock it down from the perimeter as well. Tomorrow night, we crown a national champion in college football, and the ACC Network will have you covered all day long. Start things off with Packer and Durham, 7 a.m. Eastern, and then you know the Huddle will have you covered 6 p.m. Eastern. They'll get you started with a 2-hour pregame show. You can watch the game on ACC Network while listening to the Clemson radio team on the call with Clemson and LSU. And after the game, the Huddle will be back. All of that coming your way on ACC Network tomorrow night.
Exciting times, Jen.
That was fun. Crown a national champion and have an ACC team in the hunt again. Clemson taking on LSU from the SEC.
I actually visited Clemson as one of my official visits when I was looking for college, and boy, it's an environment that is just impressive at their football games. I mean, I was blown away by it as a recruit. And to think what Dabo has done even since then, just amazing. You know, what he's done to that program, how he's turned it around, the brand, really a blueprint for anyone that's coaching. He does so many things right.
And just make sure you put a slide in your practice facility as a very fun way to get from one level to the other, as Clemson did when they recently had their facility worked on. Walker, 1 of 7 from the floor in this game, averaging over 20 points per game the last 3. She does draw the foul that time, and that is the 3rd against Jakia Brown-Turner.
And that's something that Walker can do more of in this second half to try to get the Fighting Irish back in it, is get to the free throw line. You know, when your jump shot's not falling and the outside shot is not there, get to the charity stripe. She's quick enough. She's got some athleticism to her.
And Walker is one of those players who is certainly relishing any opportunity to be on the floor. The transfer from North Carolina has had injuries that kept her off the floor for long stretches of time as Kanane works the floor beautifully.
It's a nice cut against the zone, and not enough communication by Notre Dame.
Drive, but a travel will take away the opportunity by Gilbert.
There's some attention here in the post defensively, and Kanane cuts from the high post down. You're used to Kanane drawing the 2 defenders, but whoever it is down low, that time Jones with a moving Canane, like right there. Jones sets a little screen. They play so well together. And Canane almost had a wide open one.
Yeah, those two, Jones and Canane, their connection just continuing to grow as they now have a second season together. But Jones came off the bench last season for NC State. Cosgrove and Caitlin Cole both in the game now for Notre Dame off the bench. Walker hustles to track down the rebound and then is fouled, and that is on Brown Turner. That's her fourth.
That's a significant foul for NC State. Again, they do have some depth, but not healthy depth, as Ely will check in. And Ely actually missed a couple games with sickness, was under the weather. So she is just starting to feel better and back out on the court.
Walker just cannot find the shooting touch. Ely, one of those players who such promise and then has had 2 seasons really taken away due to injury in her time at NC State. Crutchfield, 5'8", got up high for that rebound. Eight on the shot clock. Canane tried to look inside, winds up taking it herself. Soft touch over the front of the rim.
On the move. You see Canane's mobility in the last few offensive possessions. Cutting to the basket. Just all the different moves that she has down in the paint. And she's so smooth. Here she is flashing that smile she's become well known for, because she is a monster, but she looks so friendly, Jen.
And she is a rebound away, almost quietly. She's been so efficient. Rebound away from a double-double in this game, and she has 19 points. She's a perfect 7 of 7 from the floor, Canane. And Crutchfield nails another 3. It has been all NC State since the second half started. Wolfpack bouncing back on the road.
So my pick for the playoff game tomorrow is LSU because, for one, I love their quarterback. I think he's really awesome. And they also beat Bama, so I just think that's really cool. So I'm going to have to go with LSU.
I think LSU is going to win because Burrow's a beast.
Hey, I think Clemson's going to win the game tomorrow because one of my friends plays for Clemson, and also they're in the best conference ever, ACC.
I think Clemson's going to win because they have Trevor Lawrence and a great defense. I think Clemson is going to win because Blonde's got to stick together and the ACC.
Well, and what we didn't see there was that Canane is a self-proclaimed look-alike for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I can see it.
From the side, maybe.
Yeah.
When she's moving a little faster.
Now, you know, by our announcer picks across the network, the LSU Tigers, the heavy favorite. Well, I don't know, should we even talk about the two that did the Tigers pick? Come on.
No, that was soft. Corey, Bill.
Come on. Too bad.
We're not accepting that, but stay tuned to find out who Jen and I picked. And
yeah.
Hint, hint. Destiny Walker was on to something when she talked about the best conference. I mean, sounded pretty good to me.
Crutchfield, another 3, and this is a player who was 3 of 13 from 3 over the last 3 games and was shooting just 27% overall. So when you break down the game into little segments, that is one of those little segments that Wes Moore is going to say, good, we want to see you getting back on track.
They are so hard to defend when they're shooting the 3 well. And how about the big girl, Canane, with a couple of 3s now in this game.
NC State leading the ACC in 3-pointers made coming into this game. They have 7 today. They average over 9 made 3s per game.
And that's one thing, you know, as Notre Dame gets another score there, but it's one thing I've noticed about Canane in this game. Good penetration. Every time Ely is in the game, she finds a way to get into the paint, to create a bucket for someone else. But Canane has been moving outside of the lane more in this game, trying to create space, and she really got beat up. It was a physical Carolina game, so that's a way for her to stretch the floor from the three and not have to deal with as much banging down low.
Yeah, you imagine teams are, if they are able, going to come at her physically. And North Carolina certainly did that and did it well. Oh, Gilbert knew she should have had those two. She's done very well with turning her defense into offense in this game, but a miscalculation on that one. Cosgrove trying to defend. Walker came over to help on Canane.
Yeah, good job by Walker getting down to the paint to help on the big girl.
Nice dish that time, too, to find Vaughn for her first points of the game.
And how did she get that over the outstretched arms of Canane? That was a beautiful pass.
And if you're Notre Dame, you just have to, I mean, LaChina, in your career, I'm sure at some point you had these games where you can't look at the scoreboard. You have to just take it possession by possession and think about getting better on the next one. Unfortunately for Notre Dame, NC State just continues to keep getting better possession by possession. Everybody knocking them down as Jones adds a three.
But it's like, how do you guard that? Number one, Notre Dame's best defense is a zone, and NC State is shooting great from long range, but it's their 4 and their 5 player who have hit the last few threes.
It is a team effort, LaChina, from downtown for the Wolfpack.
You've got your center and your power forwards getting in on it, but first here's Kai Crutchfield from the left wing just lining it up off the bounce. Good in and out basketball here as the ball touches the paint. Back out to Canane. And then Jones lining it up as well. And you know, the way that Jones is able to shoot the three, last year, NC State lost Kira Leslie, who became a much better three-point shooter by the time her career ended. Dee Dee Rogers, who was a part of their toughness. So they lost some key pieces, but to me, the most important development this year for them has been Jones. I mean, look at her on the glass. She rebounds like a big, but she can shoot it like a guard. She just does everything.
Canane calling for it inside.
We'll see the release here of Jones as she brings that ball all the way to the right side. That's how you learn to shoot the ball. Doesn't use her guide hand for much going up, but also realizes she was behind the men's three-point line. And that's what a lot of women's players are doing this year is they can't see that white women's basketball three-point line, so they've been shooting behind the men's. That's hurt some teams' percentages, but not NC State in this case.
Canane put the ball down low where the guards could get to it, and they did. She does pull down the rebound on the other end. Katie Cole, the senior, committing the foul.
Wes Moore is probably saying exactly what you just said, Jen Hildreth, to his sophomore. I mean, how scary is that?
Yeah.
A sophomore.
And already one of the top forces to be reckoned with in the Atlantic Coast Conference, Canane. Last year when NC State was a program best 21-0, suffered their first loss of the season to North Carolina. They promptly lost their next game after that one on the road, lost at Florida State. Had to come on the road this time around as well, but so far holding their own and then some here at Purcell Pavillion today against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes when your confidence is shaken. I mean, we saw some of that with Florida State.
And there was, looked like Canane and Vaughn in the mix there. Canane was called for the foul.
Florida State had lost at Syracuse. They got their footing at Miami and then lost to Georgia Tech. How impressed has Nell Fortner's team been getting that big win?
Can I give him a Nell yeah on that?
You can give him a Nell yeah on that. I believe that they edged out Clemson.
They did
as well.
Yep, they did.
That's back-to-back wins for the Yellow Jackets.
And I think our officiating crew just making sure everything is right here. Time on the clock, shot clock, and that nothing elevated on that foul. Although Joe Vasili is calling both coaches in to talk, so perhaps there is something more at play here.
I don't know. Not sure. Joe Vasili was just trying to motion to us something.
Well, there was the foul was Kanane there on Vaughn, not the shooter. I'm going to go back and take another look at it. NC State, meanwhile, 1 point away from this being their highest scoring quarter of the season. 28 points this quarter for the Wolfpack. And whatever they were reviewing now figured out. Brunel, quick shot, Walker. Koenig, a quiet night for Ace, but Wolfpack hasn't needed her as much.
Aislinn Koenig could go for 20, 25 points on any given night, but her role changes and shifts because the first thing that teams want to do is take her out of the mix because she is the head of the snake. She is the player that keeps this team moving, keeps them going. She is their non-vocal leader, and those numbers may not stand out, but she makes sure that they get into the right offensive sets, that they're in the correct defense, that everyone is where they're supposed to be.
Now she actually leads this NC State team in assists on the season. And one of the top three-point shooters in the ACC. It's Grace Hunter at the line, knocking down those 2 free throws for NC State. So indeed, it is their highest scoring quarter to date. 6 on the shot clock. Walker, Vaughn tried to get free. Now Walker got it to her. The timing worked to perfection on that basket.
When Notre Dame's been able to get into the paint, offense has come easy, but because NC State will play under the screen, hasn't come consistently. But it has been all Wolfpack in this second half, in particular from the three-point line. Crutchfield getting it to go, Jones getting in on the action, and Kanane liking what she sees.
NC State laying down 30 points in the third quarter to really break this game open. A couple of storylines for you in a busy day, busy week across the ACC. Syracuse, which had those 2 dramatic overtime wins, losing at Miami today as the Hurricanes bounce back. How about Virginia picking up another win? And Georgia Tech getting that close win by 2 over Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse realizing it's not as easy to bring that magic on the road, and Miami has struggled as of late. Obviously, a lot of eyes on Beatrice Montpremier,
who still did not play today, and wondering when they'll get her back.
Yeah, that is huge for them, but to win without her is significant. It shows a lot of growth for Katie Meyer's team.
Brunel finally hits another basket. First since a 3 she hit early in this one. She has 6. And speaking of threes, I'm going to give our colleague Kelly Gramlich a little shout out because she had a new nickname today from Micaiah Gray from Miami. Did you hear this one? Micaiah Trey. Because she knocked down 5 3-pointers to help her to 20 points in that win for Miami. So Micaiah Trey.
I like that.
Yeah, she said she liked it after the game too, so that means it definitely sticks.
And Duke actually beat Virginia Tech in overtime, so the Blue Devils stop a losing streak that we just saw at Virginia. It was 5 straight. So Joanne P. McCauley's group able to get a good win against Kenny Brooks.
Tough to make predictions in this conference. And that makes it fun as we continue our way through ACC play. Gilbert, nice looking shot as that one goes in. 21 now for Gilbert.
And you find the silver lining in games like this. You have to, right? For the type of season that Notre Dame is having, knowing that there's growing pains to be had. And Gilbert getting her confidence back today has stood out because she's the kind of player that can create her own shot without any offense, and they need offense. And speaking of which, more three-pointers from NC State.
That's Grace Hunter joining the party. And, you know, Muffet McGraw has been at this a long time. This is her 33rd season in charge of the Fighting Irish, and she's not accustomed to losing. It just has not happened much. We told you how long it has been since this program has had 10 losses in their first 16 games. It's only happened one other time in program history. That was the 91-92 season. And in that season, the team wound up finishing the year 14-17. That was the most losses under Muffet McGraw ever. However, LaChina, they went on to win their conference tournament and earn Notre Dame's first ever NCAA tournament bid. This woman knows how to coach.
She does, and that's why your expectations, our expectations of Notre Dame are always so high because of her coaching staff. Carol Owens, Michaela Mabry, Beth Cunningham, and the expectations here. I saw Devereaux Peters, Notre Dame great and two-time WNBA champ, as Boyd hits the short jumper, but I saw her a little bit earlier today, and just thinking about what Notre Dame has become over Muffet McGraw's time here, the tradition of excellence, the expectations. There's Devereaux there on the baseline. You know, that's why everyone's so in shock that they've struggled. But you know that this coaching staff is doing everything they can to put this team in position to win. They just don't have the experience right now, and the ACC is a tough league.
It's a tough league to have to endure a rebuilding year, which is certainly what Notre Dame is going through. And Destiny Walker slipping there as she travels. All of those incredible players for Muffet McGraw from the last 4 years gives those ridiculously high numbers in terms of production loss from last season. Now, you see that point at the bottom. That includes the injury to Abby Prohaska. The player who is out for this season was dealing with a blood clot in her lungs. I've been told now she will be out the remainder of the season, but we saw some positive signs from Abby. Saw her in there getting some shots up in the practice gym earlier today.
We did, and that's encouraging to see. You can imagine how she's been anxious to get back out on the court, even though she can't play competitively with her team, just being able to get up shots.
And sometimes these points in a game can be so difficult, as I believe there was a foul called on the far side against Marta Snezik, her second. But for Notre Dame in particular to try to have some of that word you mentioned earlier, confidence, that we have seen players like Caitlin Gilbert playing with much more of today. And that was one thing that Muffet McGraw said in her press conference after the last game, that she just feared this team had lost any of its confidence, and it's so hard to make progress without that intangible.
It is, and then you lose a player in Peoples, and against this NC State team, I'm telling you, Wes Moore probably does not get the credit he deserves for what he's done in Raleigh. I mean, I can remember back, whether it was 2 seasons ago, you know, them overachieving with a team that had lost a bunch of seniors, or last year 4 ACLs. He's always doing more with less, and just his players, their confidence, how they play, their toughness, as Boyd is just, she's blowing me away today. Now I understand what Coach is talking about, making the most of her minutes.
And she has 10 points as Walker adds a couple more for Notre Dame.
But this is what you're going to face in the ACC. And some of the best coaches in the country.
now that it appears NC State will be comfortably back in the win column, and Florida State getting another win today. What a showdown that is going to be in Raleigh next Thursday. I know we've been excited. You've had that one circled as a game to watch for a while.
Well, and I love matchups like that because you get to really look at your player of the year candidates, because Kaya Gillespie is a strong one from Florida State. Naja Wolfpack would be another player of the year candidate, but also some freshmen. We've seen Brown Turner in this game. River Baldwin is a very talented freshman for Florida State. So I just love head-to-heads of teams that have players that could end up bringing home some hardware at the end. Everyone can't win championship, but you might be able to snag a Player of the Freshman of the Year award.
And those are two teams that could wind up with hardware, in particular in this conference. So the great one that's coming your way, part of a doubleheader on ACC Network. Some women's hoops next Thursday. That'll start you off 6 p.m. Eastern time from Raleigh.
And Louisville is now the only undefeated team left in the ACC. Jeff Walls, his group off to a fantastic start behind their leaders, Dana Evans, Jasmine Jones.
We've got a break on the floor at Notre Dame. Back in a moment. And welcome back to Notre Dame. The Wolfpack rolling on the road. And yes, LaChina and I have brought out our football, because when you have a national championship branded football, you're going to play with it a little bit. I'm just going to tuck it for now, though. We do have to give our picks. We do have to give our picks, LaChina. We heard the players give some of their picks earlier. I'm going to let you start with the honors.
Mine has not changed. I'm going with the Clemson Tigers. Dabo Swinney, your underdog mentality has captured the world, and we want to see you do something big. Jen?
You know I'm going to go against you on that one, LaChina. I've got the other Tigers, the LSU Tigers. I feel like Joe Burrow, the offense. You're rolling your eyes at me?
I am.
Okay.
It's fine.
That's
you know,
okay.
I mean, look at what the Ravens had to learn last night. You know, things happen to the offense, and, you know, that just part of the game. That's why we play it.
LaChina, I'm impressed with you breaking in some NFL football as well to our college football promotion.
You know, accidentally every once in a while I see a score.
By the way, LaChina and I had all kinds of plans. I was going to go punt the football, maybe get out on the Notre Dame football field. That was actually our producer, Seth Miller's idea. But we found some other people who are willing to put in a little more football action.
Yes.
We'll show you that when we get an opportunity.
Impressive young footballers.
Yeah, much more impressive than we would be. Although I do kind of want to punt it. I don't think they want me to do it that inside, though.
You were a goalkeeper,
I was,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love to punt the ball. Wes Moore able to go a little deeper on his bench now. Kendall Moore with the basketball. Camille Hobby hit that last bucket for the Wolfpack. Gilbert from the free throw line. She continues her great afternoon.
Her pull-up has been money today, and she needs this.
Career high 25 points today for Gilbert. And still a lot of work left to do for this Notre Dame team, which is in uncharted territory. They've been struggling on their home floor, but check this out earlier today. Look at that arm!
Oh, that's beautiful. These are the children of Notre Dame assistant coach Beth Cunningham. This is the pass of the day right there.
Little victory.
And those are twins, actually. So there are 4 children all together for Beth Cunningham: Margaret, Gretchen, Danny, and Carly. But I believe it's Carly and Danny that are the twins. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. But
they have a nice
being told
connection.
that's right.
Yeah, good connection that they
That's
have
right.
there.
I mean, come on now. Who didn't want to be a twin growing up?
Oh, man, I watched The Parent
It
Trap.
takes two.
Parent Trap?
And it takes two. Come on, nothing better than that.
Although Beth probably would tell us it's a lot of work carrying for
but
two at once.
It's impressive what coaches like Beth Cunningham do as moms. You, Jen Hildreth, as a mom and broadcaster extraordinaire to two beautiful daughters.
Oh, well,
It's a lot. I can't even manage just myself in the work I have to do. So what you women do with little kids, little children that need you to get them through their days and their weeks and their month.
Tell you what, you know what else they do? They help when things are hard, maybe in your profession. You come back to that at home, how do you not smile?
And of course the dads as well. I just don't know any dads in here right now that have little ones. I think that our director may have a couple. Griff may have some, might have 3 under the age of
11, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Give
give
some
Griff
credit
some
for that,
love.
but I don't know. Griff's on the, but wait, Griff's on the road a lot though, is all I'm saying. He's with us, so someone's got to be back home. And that's true, Jen. I know your husband does a great job as well.
You have to give credit.
Shout out to
both,
the guys.
Both roles are challenging.
You're right.
Yes.
It is.
Oh, we've gone off the rails a little bit here, but that happens sometimes.
Good talk.
Yeah. Griff's never bringing us coffee again.
No, we're done.
So have you seen enough, LaChina, from NC State today to make you feel like, yeah, we're going to have one heck of a game on Thursday in Raleigh?
For sure. I mean, what I can't wait to see is not only the Kaya Gillespie could get matched up with Kanane. I mean, obviously they don't play the same positions on the floor, but I'd like that post matchup when Gillespie is in the paint. And then Wolfpack and Akamu are a tough pair to stop in the backcourt for Florida State. Can't wait to see what Westmore does defensively to slow them down. I believe both had 20-plus points today for Sioux Samurai's offense.
Now the starters on the Wolfpack bench cheering as they get a chance to see some of their substitutes trying desperately to get some points there. Couldn't quite do it.
See Erin Bath on the right of your screen, Clemson great. I believe she's still the post coach for NC State, which if you look at what Kanane has become, Erin Bath was a standout post player for the Tigers and does a great job with that.
Muffet McGraw is going to give some of her bench players a few more minutes now as well. Nicole Benz is already out on the floor. A few more players coming as well. Cosgrove Cole there, and there's 2 points for Hobby. She was 4. A freshman out of Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, good minutes for Hobby. Active, versatile. That's the trademark of NC State inside game, is their versatility, their ability to do a number of things from pass to shoot from the outside.
And now for Notre Dame, number 40, Katie Keys, makes her first appearance of the season. Kate Murdoch, number 5. And her sister Maggie Murdoch also on the floor. To the delight of the remaining crowd here in Purcell Pavillion. And then NC State wants a similar celebration for Katie Wadsworth. She won't get it, but how about the follow-up from Hobby?
Hey, you get in, you touch the ball, you let it fly.
NC State now 90 points and chalk this one up as one the Irish would rather forget. Take a look at some of their more disturbing losses of the season. They don't like any of them, but losing by 24 at UConn. The last time they lost by 34 points or more at home, 1994. And Notre Dame has never lost 5 in a row at home. That is an unfortunate streak that will end today. Wadsworth.
Almost. Her team wanted that to go in bad. NC State going from their lowest scoring output of the season to a 90-point performance here. They have definitely bounced back from that loss to North Carolina.
90-56, our final score. And now for today's player of the game, brought to you by Zaxby's. It is the 6'5" sophomore from Summerfield, North Carolina, Elisa Canane.
Just as we expected, Canane did not have a great outing against North Carolina. The sophomore regrouped, and those numbers impressive here with a double-double against Notre Dame.
Near perfect day from the floor for Canane, 8 of 10 for those 22 points, and her 9th double-double of the season. We'll be back to talk a little more about this one from Notre Dame after the break. (90-56) our final score. NC State getting the big win on the road here at Purcell Pavillion. And leading the way, a player we expected would bounce back today, Elisa Canane, and she did just that.
Yeah, she was brilliant in this game, using that frame at 6'5" to corral rebounds, knocking down that little pick and pop here, but also shot a couple of three-pointers today, getting the long-range game cooking. Just impressive on both ends of the floor with her determination to score against this Notre Dame defense. And now we are joined by Elisa Canane. Just curious, you know, you were coming off of a tough outing, a loss to North Carolina, where you didn't have your best game, but obviously today showing us your best. What was the difference between then and today?
I think everyone just told me, forget about it. Like, it's a bad game, you're gonna have those, and you just gotta bounce back the next game. It doesn't matter what you do in that one, it matters what you do next.
And Elisa, what was the conversation just for you guys as a team, having to suffer the loss, second straight year, you have to suffer it to North Carolina, one of your rivals, I know. So how did the team handle that?
We realized that it's better early in the season than later in the season, and that we can learn so much from that, watch film, learn so much from it. So we just gotta take it as a learning thing and move on from it and have energy this game.
You put up 90 points on the road. I mean, it was impressive to watch you guys share the ball. What stands out to you about the offense of this team this season?
I think this season and this game in particular, we had a ton of energy, and we love sharing the ball. I think it gets us the most energy when another person makes a shot, like you can get an assist. So I think sharing the ball is what we've done really good this season so far.
Well, how about we go back and take a look at a few of those? What do you think? You get to watch the highlights now, and you can see it is really beautiful basketball when you guys play this way.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you know coming in that Notre Dame is going to play a zone. What were you guys focused on getting against their defense?
I mean, we knew they were going to play zone, and we knew they were going to double, so we had to kick the ball out to our shooters, and they did a great job knocking it down.
Now, I know that players and coaches, you guys do not look ahead. Okay, I know that is the case. However, I also know that now there's not another game in between, so now we can look at that matchup that we've been very excited for a while. Florida State coming to your gym on Thursday. Tell me your early thoughts on that matchup.
Honestly, it's going to be a huge game. I know Reynolds is going to be rocking, so I'm really excited for the environment, and it's going to be a great basketball game, so I think it'll be a good test for us, and it's just fun to play good basketball.
Here's a look at what NC State has coming up. Florida State, the next on the list. They had a couple of home games there at Reynolds, and then I'm guessing that January 26th game, that might be circled, a little revenge potentially in that one. But Elisa, while we have you here, what else about this team? And maybe give us a little bit of Coach Moore and some of the magic he brings to what this team can do. And you kind of laugh like I might be asking you to do an impression, which you are welcome to do if you like.
I just think that he's kind of like a quiet person, but he has his little jokes, and so we have to kind of bring the energy for him. In practice, he'll be kind of serious, and we'll be goofing off or giving each other hugs, and he's like, all right, come on now.
I knew you had one in you. I knew she did.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Very good. You guys have a lot of fun, too. It seems like as a team, you get along well.
We all love each other so much, and this year's been just a great year for chemistry, and it's been so much fun to play with the team.
And where do you feel like you have made the most improvement from your freshman to sophomore season?
I think I've taken a little bit more leadership, and I've also just slowed down a little bit more, trying to do more rebounding and assists, and obviously the scoring too. Just slowing down and trying to do a little bit more of everything.
Yeah. And how do you feel? I heard that Debbie Antonelli, our friend, is trying to give you the moniker Big Smile, right? What do you think about that nickname?
I mean, I think it suits me pretty well.
Yeah, as LaChina pointed out, though, she's got this big smile, but she's a monster. She's going to come at you, so
That's
don't
right.
be
I said, don't let that smile fool you, okay?
Yeah.
She's coming after the basketball, so, but we enjoy watching you play.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Congratulations on the win. Keep it going. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you guys so much.
So Elisa Canane leading the NC State Wolfpack on the road. 22 points in the win, 8 for 10 from the floor, and her 9th double-double of the season.
Dominating in the paint against Notre Dame. Just her size, her mobility, the way she moves. She's got great footwork. I mean, the sky is really the limit for this sophomore who is continuing to develop right before our eyes. We saw her put up the three-point shot, which means you have to worry about not only what she does on the interior, but what she could bring on the outside as well.
Caitlin Gilbert leading the way, a career day for the Notre Dame sophomore with 25 points on what was an otherwise frustrating afternoon for the Irish on their home floor. Still had 7,800 here at Purcell Pavillion. Always a great crowd to watch Notre Dame women's basketball. Our updated ACC standings after today's action. Louisville Cardinals sitting there on top. Nobody's been able to beat them yet in conference play. But then after that, who predicted Georgia Tech to be sitting there amongst that group at the top?
I mean, what Nell Fortner has done with that Georgia Tech program is just really cool to see, because normally when a first-year head coach takes over, there's some time and some molding, especially once you get into ACC. But the Jackets have taken off and running, and you could say the same about North Carolina and the way that they have started their season, even their win against NC State. I know they lost today at Florida State, but Courtney Banghart, so you got a couple of first-year coaches that are saying, look out, we're here, and they're going to be competitive this season.
Yeah, we had a chance to see North Carolina and Courtney Banghart really early on in the season and weren't quite sure, I think, what we were going to see from this team, but they have so many good pieces when you look at Janelle Bailey on the inside and Shayla Bennett and what she's been able to do. And I think it's been exciting to see that they have been really competitive so far in conference.
Yeah, you're right. And when you talk to Courtney Banghart, she gives a lot of credit to Shayla Bennett because she has to control so much of what they do on both ends of the floor. And she's been willing to step up to the challenge, be more vocal. But the player that doesn't get enough credit, who actually, I believe, scored her 1,000th career point today, was Taylor Coonan.
Okay,
and she's that glue player. She's that blue-collar player for North Carolina. And that is the team that probably scares me the most in the ACC. And what I mean by that is they could finish in the middle of the pack. They could also be ACC champs at the end of the year. They don't have depth. But, you know, watch out for North Carolina because they are a team that understands who they are, and Courtney Bankhart's done a great job so far.
Quickly, LaChina, before we're off, anybody else to watch out for that we haven't talked about yet that maybe we should be talking about a little more in the ACC, or have we covered it?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Georgia Tech, but I don't say you don't count anybody out. Syracuse still scares me, and if those overtime wins did not do something to you, then maybe it's just me, but
no, you're not alone.
Group.
So watch out for the Qs, one of many teams to keep an eye on in ACC Women's Hoops. Coming up 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got ACC Men's Basketball for you on the ACC Network. Pittsburgh at Miami. For LaChina Robinson, I'm Jen Hildreth saying see you later from South Bend.